Hey everyone, today I have for you a 2018 Range Rover Sport. Take you around this SUV. Very nice. Love the styling. I honestly think this is like one of the best looking SUVs you can get today. Here's the back of it. As you can see, it's got that nice Range Rover styling. Here's the key for it. Pretty nice key. We will pop the trunk and see what that looks like. As you can see, it's like a pretty big trunk actually. Pretty big car in general. And you get pretty good cargo storage in here. There is like a little thing under the floor and you get a full-size spare tire. That's very nice to have. But we'll close the tailgate here, just push this button. And it is one of the faster closing tailgates that I've seen. Pretty good. As you can see, very luxurious back here. And it's pretty roomy actually. I imagine the regular full-size Range Rover will have more space, but this is honestly not bad. I could sit back here just fine. As you can see, you got the Meridian sound system. Sounds really good. It gets super loud in here. You got really nice materials like soft touch padding right here. Feels very nice. I think it's like a leather stitch material. You get this big panoramic sunroof also that looks really nice. But we'll hop out here. I'll show you guys under the hood real quick. All right. So this is what it looks like. This is a 3-liter supercharged V6. Makes 340 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. I kind of thought it would have a little bit more power considering that these start at like 70 grand new. But it's still a decent number. It still gets this thing up to speed like pretty well. I just kind of wish it had like a little bit more power to it. But we'll close this thing up and we'll hop in. I'll show you guys what this car is all about. All right, stepping in. This interior is gorgeous, actually. You just get really nice materials in here. I'm gonna start it up. As you can see, it like starts right up. You do have a center screen right here, and that's controlled with this little toggle switch right here. You can basically scroll through your different radio stations. If you want to access your menu, you just push menu. You can scroll down, you can look at your trip computer and vehicle settings, vehicle information, driver assistance, all that good stuff. All that is accessed through here. Pretty self-explanatory. You get your Bluetooth controls. You also have your heated steering wheel right here, and you have your cruise control. No adaptive cruise control in this, I don't believe. Kind of unusual for a Range Rover to not have that, although this is a little bit older. I have to remember that this is a few years old, so they probably added that for like the newer models. But you do have your center screen right here. You have little buttons on the side here. This basically is how you access various different menus. Like there's your settings. You can check out your camera. If you push that, it brings up your backup camera. I find that this screen is just a little bit like low quality looking in terms of the graphics and the interface, and it's kind of like slow to respond. Like I push something and it just like kind of freezes up a little bit. It's not like the quickest. I'm not a fan of it. As you can see, it's just like a little bit cluttered. Down here, you do have your volume. You do have your climate controls right here. Basically, this also controls your heated seats. So you push that, you scroll this way for heat, and you can scroll this way for cool. So you do get heated and cooled seats. That's pretty nice to have. Down here, you have your various modes. So you have like your normal mode. You have your sand and snow right there, grass, gravel, snow. Scroll over, you have your mud ruts, and you have your sand. So that's pretty cool. I'll scroll back over to normal here. This is where you can adjust your ride height. So I'm gonna put it up, and it should lift. Yeah, there it goes. As you can see, like the car is like lifting. Very cool. It's always a treat getting into a car that does this. I love like showing people it. You also have your parking brake right here. You have your transmission shifter for the 8-speed automatic right here. So you push the button and push up to put it in reverse. There's your backup camera, a little bit low resolution, but it gets the job done. And if you want to put it in drive, you push the button and push all the way back. That puts it in drive. Sport mode is accessed over here. You can use the plus or the minus. No paddle shifters, but still decent. I put it in park and the shifter slides back over. This is your center console, pretty big center console actually. Very impressed with the size. And here's your glove box over here. Cool little like electronic release for that, and it's a huge glove box, so plenty of storage in here. Really can't complain. One little like ergonomic issue I have is when I go to put on my seatbelt, this armrest seems to get in the way. So I kind of, whenever I get in the car, I have to lift this up before putting my seatbelt on and then put it back down. So I think they could have like made that a little bit more ergonomically sound. Other than that though, this interior is beautiful. I definitely like it. It's got a great sound system. It's got a great style. The material quality is excellent. I just think this interface could be a little bit better, and I just wish it had a little bit better technology. But overall, it's a good package, it's a good style, just a little bit overpriced for my taste. But it is a Range Rover, so it's kind of a status car. It's gonna be expensive. But I'm gonna put it in drive here. I'm gonna set off, give you guys my honest opinions on what this Range Rover Sport is like to drive. I'm gonna test out the traction. Yeah, it definitely takes off pretty well. Pretty good grip. I'm gonna turn here. I'll start off by talking about the engine. This engine is very smooth. It's got like a really smooth power band to it. 340 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. Nothing to scoff at, but also not the fastest. When I first drove it, I thought it was quick, thought it was plenty quick. Gets you right up to speed without really any issues. It just kind of misses the mark for me a little bit. Don't get me wrong, this SUV is plenty fast. I just kind of thought it was like quick, but not like impressive. It's not something that really wows you when you step on it, but it does get you right up and moving without any issues. So I can't complain too hard. You sit up nice and high in this. You get a really good commanding view of the road. You can see right over the front hood just fine. It's a pretty it's easy to see out of this Range Rover. These pillars are pretty thin and you get big side mirrors, and you also get a pretty good view out of the back. So overall, can't complain with the visibility. I haven't had any issues seeing out of this car. We are going to try out the power a little bit. All right, yeah, you know, it's just, it's fast. It's just not like balls to the wall fast. I do like the general feel of this Range Rover. It's got a nice smooth ride to it and feels nice and luxurious. It's quiet in here. Really, where this car excels at is its luxuriousness. It's not a sports car. I wouldn't totally get this car if I wanted something to have fun on a back road in. I'll just say that much. This thing isn't like focused on sport, but I do find that it's got a very compliant feel to it. It can definitely hustle and take a corner when you want it to. It's just not something that encourages you to fly around. But when you do want to zip around, this thing can definitely do it. It's got enough engine power and the handling is reasonably sophisticated for an SUV. Right now, it's really just gliding down the road. It's soaking up these bumps very well. This would be a great car to road trip in. It hits all the key points, like it's spacious, it's quiet, it's smooth. It's definitely something that you'd want in a luxury car. gonna try getting on the gas. Okay. You know, it does take off. It does take off. It's not that I don't like this engine. I think this is actually a really good engine. I love the smooth power of it. It's just got like such silky smooth performance. I love the feel when the supercharger kicks in too. You can kind of feel the car launch forward a little bit with that supercharger. It's just a very smooth and very balanced feel to the acceleration. Car point's nice and straight. I'm really not having to correct the wheel a ton. It's just gliding down the road very easily. Feels very smooth over this rough patch right here. The brakes feel very good. They stop the car smoothly and they feel nice and powerful, although I do wish they had a bit more of a defined bite. They're just slightly vague for a luxury car. I do think they could stand to feel a little bit more defined, but overall they're very smooth and very powerful. So I really can't complain a whole lot with the brakes. Yeah, nice smooth power from the engine. The steering is pretty light. It's got like decent precision though. It changes direction with a decent level of authority. It rounds the corners with like good predictability. I do like how this Range Rover takes off from a stop. It's got good low-end torque, definitely. This 8-speed automatic is very intelligent in how it shifts. The shifts are very smooth, just silky smooth. And each gear is the correct gear, I feel like. I always feel like I'm getting exactly the gear that I want when I drive this car. Really, it doesn't take too long to downshift when you want a little bit of extra passing power. It doesn't hesitate or slam into gear or anything like that. It's all very smooth and easygoing, very natural feeling 8-speed automatic. It's not like a sporty transmission. It's not like a dual clutch or something like that, but it is a little bit slow in how it shifts. So I can tell it's not like performance oriented, but I do like how it shifts through its gears. As you can see, just very smooth shifting. Really doesn't require a whole lot of thinking to drive this car smoothly. It just does its thing. Very settled and controlled as it goes down the road right now. We do have some corners up here that we can try out. Really, this thing doesn't handle badly. I'm rather impressed with how this Range Rover drives. I did mention that it doesn't feel like a sports car. You do definitely feel some body lean, and you feel the weight hobbling around a little bit. That's just the reality of an SUV. They're pretty much all like this, but I think Land Rover did a pretty good job with the handling dynamics of this SUV. For example, we're just gonna chuck it around this corner, and it does a good job. I'll try another corner up here just to see how it is. We'll try it. Yeah, you know, it does have good handling for an SUV. It, like I said, don't totally want to fly around. I don't want to drive it like a sports car, but you can still have a decent amount of fun in this SUV. I really do think it's got a nice, like, compliant feel. It's very natural in how it drives. It's very predictable. I'm going to slow down a little bit here, let this car get ahead of me. And then we're gonna try giving it a little more gas. Yeah, it's a little bit heavy feeling, but it's very easy to chuck it around to at the same time. Got kind of a dual personality where it feels, on one hand, it feels like kind of like a big family car, but on the other hand, it's very compliant, very natural, very sophisticated in how it handles. So really, can't complain too much. Definitely liking this Range Rover and how it drives. Brakes very smoothly. Just feel like you're king of the road in this thing. The throttle response is pretty normal. It's not like touchy, I would say. It's pretty normal in its resistance. It feels decently responsive, although not like sports car responsive. That BMW 3 Series that I test drove a few weeks ago, that had a more responsive feeling accelerator. This is a little bit more vague feeling, and it's the same story with the brakes. They feel pretty smooth and assuring, but they're also just a little bit on the vague side. This car, I can tell it's tailored back a little bit from your average like sports car or luxury car. It's just a little bit tame, a little bit settled down, and there's nothing wrong with that. I still think this is a very good SUV. I still love driving it. I think it drives excellently. It's just not the most exciting thing in the world. It's not like the enthusiast choice, I feel, but it is very assured. It does have things that it does well. For example, like the engine performance, the ride quality, the hushed road noise, all of those things this car does well. It is still a very nice ride. Turning that corner, very smooth handling. Easy to plant this car on the road exactly where you want it to be. This Range Rover Sport, nothing about it stood out to me when I first drove it, but after I drove it for a little bit longer, I started to appreciate it more. I started to like the way this SUV drives a lot more. Just it's a very luxurious and simplistic nature. We're gonna take it on the highway here, and I'm gonna show you guys how it accelerates and handles a little bit. So we're gonna try that right now. Yeah, really not too bad in the handling. Honestly, for an SUV, no complaints. All right. Yeah, it gets right up to highway speeds. Very smooth highway ride to it. Good passing ability. This thing doesn't mind speeding. Really, it doesn't. It's pretty shocking how small this Range Rover gets on the road when you drive it. Not that it's a sports car, but it does shrink in size when you get it up to some higher speeds, and I definitely like that. We are going to try a little brake check. Very good. A little bit vague and a little bit mushy, but still stops the car just fine. As you can see, you can just kind of flick it around the corners, and it doesn't mind, it doesn't protest. And we will try our little cloverleaf off-ramp here and see how it does around this little corner. really good, honestly. Really not bad. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. It gripped very well, and I felt some body lean, but honestly, this thing felt pretty controlled despite all of that. I'm going to try manual mode, so I'll slide the shifter over. I'll try downshifting. It responds like pretty quickly for downshifts, it seems like. Really not too bad. I'd say it responds within like a quarter of a second. Yeah, really not too bad. I'll put it back over in normal. Hits all those key points that luxury car buyers care about, I think. A lot of people don't want the sportiest thing. They don't want something that screams like race car. A lot of people just want something that gets them from A to B in luxuriousness. And I think this satisfies that bill pretty well. Really, I'm just feathering the gas, and this thing delivers such smooth, linear power. I really like the feel of this engine. It's not so much the horsepower that I like, it's mostly just how it feels when it's taking off. It's just very smooth, very luxurious, very predictable power. So I definitely like that. So I'm just gonna be quiet for a little bit and let you guys listen to how the car sounds. Alright, you guys, I think I will end the video here. Pretty sure I talked about everything. If I missed anything, just let me know in the comments. Pretty easy to toss this thing around. Pretty easy to drive. And I'm just gonna park it over here. All right, you guys, that is the Range Rover Sport. Very nice interior, very classy and luxurious. A little bit dated right here, not a fan of this. Engine performance could be a little bit stronger. While this engine is plenty quick, it'll satisfy most people, I think. I mean, it's plenty quick. It'll get you right up to speed in like every driving situation you're likely to encounter. I just would have wanted a little bit more brute force out of it. This is an expensive car, and I do think there are other cheaper cars that just offer more satisfying amounts of power. But it's a very good engine. It's a very smooth, linear engine. This Range Rover Sport plants itself on the road with really good composure, really good solidity. It shrinks in size decently well. Really doesn't mind a little bit of speed and a little bit of hustle every now and then. Not every car has to be the fastest or the sportiest. This is a very good luxury car. But yeah, you guys, we are going to hop out. I'm gonna shut it off. All right, thanks for watching, everyone.